Hello and welcome back to my podcast, Resolutionary Leaders. I'm your host, Helena Gotto, and today we have Drew Donaldson from Grow House. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Helena. Pleasure to be here.
So Drew has a very unique marketing agency, which is very much focused on strategy and not we're just going to one size fits all it. And I will out myself and say that I work with Drew. We're collaborating. He's helping me because he focuses on companies that specialize in knowledge and services. So that's me. But Drew has a really interesting background that I wanted to share with the listeners because what he's done, I think, is brilliant. For those of you who are stuck in these miserable jobs and trying to get out, Drew did that. He had quite a journey in corporate America, lots of different experiences, and eventually realized the writing was on the wall and he was going to start his own company while he waited for his head to end up on the chopping block. So, Drew, let's start by telling me a little bit about your background, and then we'll go into sort of the things that your takeaways and how you're now running your own business.
Sounds good. I've always really been fascinated with entrepreneurship. Both my parents were entrepreneurs, so that was like in my blood growing up. And when I was in college, I started my first real business. I tried a bunch of goofy things when I was a kid, like selling stickers on the playground and all that kind of stuff, which I actually got in trouble for. I got a teacher talk to me and she's like, "You can't take these kids lunch money to buy stickers." And I was like, that was my first taste of government regulation. So when I was in college, I started this business, really helping businesses. I had a film degree, so I was helping businesses really get on YouTube with commercial content. So whether that was explainer videos or ads or whatnot, that was really the Wild West at the time. So my big focus was like, how can I take the stuff I learned in film school and apply it to a market that's in need? And that was small businesses at the time. So I did that, but I failed doing it because I realized that I was a terrible marketer. I saw all these other people from my class and other competitors in the marketplace doing really well. And I had won all of these awards. I had all these credits, but at the end of the day, I was not pulling in nearly the amount of business that they were. And I was like, it's got to be the marketing. That's the one thing that I'm not terribly confident in. And so I spent the next decade or so, like just diving into it. And the time came where I just became way more obsessed with marketing than I was video production. And I just was like, this is a way, first off, don't have to carry a light kit through 100-degree heat in New York City. That's a bonus. Light kits are like 120 pounds. They're awful to carry around and they don't have wheels often. So you are schlepping a bunch of gear around New York City on the subway and it's terrible. So yeah, I didn't have to do that. And it was an ever evolving challenge. I'd figured out how to film good video. That wasn't a challenge to me anymore. But marketing, every new day, there was another challenge to solve. And so I really like that as someone who's very kind of strategy minded to be like, all right, how do we fix this? How do we get more leads or how do we get more views or what have you? Yeah, that was my background. I ended up taking a job with the marketing department, which was a great move on my part looking back because it really let me dip my toes in those waters while still producing video. So it was like that transitionary career for me. Worked with a great team there at St. John's University in Queens, New York. And from there, I really started shifting my focus more and more onto like just the marketing and less the production side. So I worked in an ad agency in the pharmaceutical arena for a period of about 6 months. Not a good working experience. And then I worked in a publishing company in the finance sector for about 5 years, really perfecting my craft. And that also it started out as a pretty good working environment. It didn't end with a very good working environment, but I launched in Grow House in 2020 and I really haven't looked back. Every once in a while, I'll get headhunted by a recruiter and I just think of the most insane number I could think of to send back to them and be like, if you're offering this, I'll take it. And I don't usually hear back. So I think my value on the open market is much better running a company than it is taking a 9-to-5.
So now that you're running a company and you have employees, and from our conversations previously, it sounds like you've had a lot of experience of how not to lead and how not to motivate your employees. So can you speak a little bit to how you work and how you've taken those lessons and are doing it differently?
So it's definitely something that I'm constantly evolving. I really think leadership in and of itself is something that is made, not born. You have the idea of a born leader, but it's really just born with the raw materials to be a leader. Like some people are just followers, and that's fine. But if you have that initial set of skills, that desire to lead people, to be a coach, what have you, really it's about refining that over time and continuing to polish that. And I think the thing I always try to think of is, if I was in my employee's shoes, how would I want to receive this feedback? And not all feedback is positive. Like it just can't be, because not life. Like I would love to cheerlead 100% of the time, but a lot of times you have to have hard conversations about, hey, why didn't this get done? Why isn't this up to snuff? What have you? And I think it's taking the anger and the vitriol out of it, which is what I experienced working in corporate America, and just saying, listen, this is serious. We have to fix this, but not shelling out blame, not lambasting people for not getting stuff done, just being like, all right, understand this didn't get done or this wasn't up to snuff. Let's fix it. What do you need to fix it? What are the resources you need? And I think that's the other big piece I took away, is that in every corporate job I ever had, we were always not only under the gun, but under resourced. And my team, I have a policy with my team that if they need anything, like, here's the credit card, go buy it. You need a new platform. We had a person say, hey, that if we buy this tool, it's going to increase our efficiency by 40%. Buy it. I'm not the kind of boss that is going to let my team be under resourced just to save a buck. And we used to do this thing where when we were small and I had a smaller team, every quarter or so we would go through the list of applications we were paying for, and I'd grill them on, hey, are we really using this, or is this just nice to have? And we would cut, and that would save me maybe $100-200 a month or something like that. But we've gotten to a point now where those conversations are, no, we need this tool, we need that. These are all like super important tools. And I would never cut anything that's critical to their operation, because I don't want to be put in the same situation I was in with, oh yeah, we can't afford that tool anymore. Oh, it's going to add 50 hours of work to that project. You're just going to have to make it up somewhere. It's just not the way I want to run my company. So anytime they need resources, including new hires, like we hired 2 new people last month because we looked at the total work that we were bringing in, and we needed to shift some stuff off. There was people that was covering things that had been covering them when it was a small project. It bloomed into a bigger project, and we needed to make those hires. So I'm always very conscious of what my team is doing, what they're managing, and what their workloads look like.
So your team is 100% virtual, right? So I think what people are really still struggling with is, how do you really create accountability and engagement when you've got a fully virtual team? How do you navigate that?
So I think the first thing is like making sure that the people you're hiring are actual cultural fits. And we have had a few people that we've hired that have not worked out because they couldn't pull the sled. I have a pretty high standard for the people we hire that, hey, listen, we are all in this together. If there's one lame dog in the pack, it slows all of us down. So we can't have that. We need everybody to be A players on the team. And so we've gone through several hires where that just hasn't worked out. They haven't been able to pull the sled. But what I found is, and we ran this analysis earlier this summer, because we were looking to hire a couple more people, and we're going back and forth and crafting the job description. And my head of operations said to me, do you know that every person we've hired from a referral is still here? I said, no way. And she ran him through. She's like, he came in through this guy, and this person's hired because of this guy. And I was like, that's the secret. We need to tap into your networks, because good people spend time with good people, know good people. So if you can find that initial one person and use them as the resource to bring on other people, first off, there's some built-in community because they already know each other. So like a lot of my team all live in the same area. They've known each other for years. There's a shared accountability among them where it's like, hey, I'm not just responsible for this because it's my job. I'm responsible for this because it's going to make my friend look bad if I don't do it because they referred me as a team member. So we've really pulled back on hiring outside of our built-in community. And really, anytime we have a new opening, like we have a couple openings we're looking for right now, I always bring it to the team first and I say, listen, this is who we're looking for. Who do you have in your network? Who have you seen on Facebook recently? Who's on your LinkedIn that you know that you worked with once upon a time? And only in those cases where we've mined that out completely and we can't find anybody who's available do we ever reach outside of that, because we just know that by hiring people from our network, we're not only going to have that instant community, but they're going to be A players. They're going to be serious about their craft and serious about producing great work.
It's very interesting. It's because there's an established community there.
Mm-hmm.
So you overcome the fact that people are not in the office together building community by actually having the community already established.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. We do a big Christmas party and we play video games. Like at the end of the year, we have this big 5-hour party where I buy them gifts and I buy their families dinner. So we do a lot of that. We give them their birthdays off as a paid day off. It's mandatory, actually. You have to take your birthday off in our company and get paid for it. They also get a full month's salary on their anniversary every year as a bonus. We have unlimited PTO. No one has ever abused it, primarily because it's one of those things when you extend trust to people respond to that. So we've never once had a person abuse it. We've had some people take some pretty serious time off because they need to care for an ailing relative, or I had one guy who was in a motorcycle accident. So there's been plenty of times where like we felt their absence, but never once have I thought about taking that benefit away, because I just think, listen, if you got to take care of something, just do it. It doesn't serve me any purpose counting how many days you were absent this year. As long as the work got done and the quality of the work is where I want to be, I'm not worried about you taking the afternoon off to go take your dog to the vet.
So when you said if you've got one lame duck, how do you get the feedback that you've got one lame duck?
My team is really honest. They will tell me. And they will, even if it's one of their friends, even if it's part of their community, and they will be like, hey, this person's really not pulling their weight, or we've tried. We had one gentleman come in who was really struggling, and we gave him more than enough chances to fix what was going on. And they came to me and they said, he's just not doing the work. It's just not getting done. Like we don't know what he's doing, but he's not doing the work. And so we let him go. But luckily, that is far and few between, because the people, first off, I think once you work here, you understand the expectation. And so you're not sending people in to interview that you don't think can hang with the crowd, right? Not just from a cultural perspective, but from hey, are you going to actually do the work? Because I'm not going to recommend you unless you're going to do the work kind of thing. So we have a very low turnover rate. This year, I've only had to fire one person all year long, which is pretty remarkable for the size of the team we run. And we've hired more than we fired by far, and they've all stuck around. Every once in a while, we will have someone come in that we think is going to be really good, and they just aren't. But that is increasingly rare the more we tap into that network.
Okay, so I like, you did run through these benefits very quickly. So I just want to circle back because I think it's important. So unlimited paid time off. Mm-hmm. They have to take their birthday off. Yep. They get a full month of salary, on their anniversary, annual anniversary, an extra month. Christmas time, you send dinners to the families.
Yep, and presents for them.
And presents. Yep.
And we have a big Christmas party, virtual Christmas party. We play games, like some like quiz games. We give out awards. I think we did awards last year. And then I think we played Among Us last year. That was like the popular game at the time. And we all got in and played Among Us for a couple hours and just had fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I like it. I look forward to it. So we used to do, I shouldn't say used to, we did it once. We did a Christmas party for the clients, and that just doesn't work virtually because no one wants to come and hang out with your marketer.
It doesn't work virtually.
A couple hours. No, if cocktails aren't involved, it doesn't really work. We took all that effort and we just did it for the team, and the team really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's great. So you really don't have to do much performance management because your team does it for you.
Yeah, not really. We meet 3 times a week. So I'm meeting with the leadership team every Monday. I'm meeting with the entire team, like the entire company every Wednesday, and I'm meeting with my top line higher ups on every Friday. And because we have so many touch points throughout the week and they're emailing and messaging me throughout that whole time, I have a pretty good feel of what's going on a day-to-day basis. We've gotten to a point where I do rely on them a lot to do quality control and check their work and all of that kind of stuff. And the when things do pop up, it's one of those things where it doesn't require me to come in heavy-handed and scream and yell and stomp my feet and demand better performance. It's really just like, hey, this missed the mark. Why did it miss the mark? Okay, let's change that and do it differently next time. So sometimes it's just a process thing, and it's like, oh yeah, that process is broken. We needed to fix that. Sometimes it's a miscommunication thing where it's like, all right, I just need to be more clear in handing off that project, or this person needs to have a better SOP for managing that review process or what have you. But for the most part, anytime performance has come into it's because it's so rare, the process we do have is they bring it to me first. We sit down, we figure out what's going wrong, like why aren't they hitting the goals we're setting out for them, and make sure they're still in it. Because every once in a while, someone just says, yeah, I just don't like the work. And I'd rather you tell me that and have an amicable separation than me hounding you for 6 months and putting you on a performance enhancement plan and all that kind of trash if you're not really in it. Or if you're struggling, like if you just haven't been open and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, my wife's in the hospital, like it's been really stressful, then I'll just give you time off. Which is, I think, one of the reasons why that unlimited PTO is so important to the culture, is because no one feels if I don't show up, I'm going to get in trouble. So no, just send me a message, say, hey, I got to take care of something. I'm not going to be in, or hey, I'm going through this personal thing. I think I need to take like a sabbatical. So it'll be granted. I can't promise you that we're not going to like backfill that position with someone temporarily so that the trains run on time. But if you need to take the time off, like it's okay. Like your job will be here when you get back.
I think the key is hiring good people, because if you don't have people that team players, that those could really get taken advantage of.
100%. I think the real culture is a culture of collaboration and making sure that I've never once had an issue, like an interpersonal issue with anybody. And I think part of that is because so many of them know each other. But I think the other part is that if something goes wrong, there's not a he said this, she said that kind of scenario. It's the person that is at fault feels comfortable enough to be like, yeah, I dropped the ball and that's my fault, and not try to shift the blame around or blame the timing or the moon or whatever else. They just own up and they're like, yeah, I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of criticism for this. That's okay because I messed up.
Awesome. It sounds like you've created a very successful process and team and company, and it sounds very rewarding compared to your prior situations.
Oh, infinitely so. Yeah, I couldn't imagine taking a 9-to-5 anymore. It just would. It's working in that environment after you've had a taste of freedom is just like the most soul-crushing prospect I could imagine.
I agree. And I think until you experience the freedom of working for yourself, you get over the fear of it not being so, like someone else being in charge of all the decisions around your employment. It's such a freeing experience, and I think it's so necessary these days when we want to have whole lives and be able to spend time with our families and do fulfilling work. So I'm so glad you found that, and I appreciate you for jumping on and having a chat with me today, and I look forward to doing more great work with you.
I look forward to the same. Thanks for having me on.